how do you get old guys to play old? Because last night might not have been as apparent throughout the 40 minutes.
Yeah, you just give them another shot on Saturday. Certainly Carolina is old and been together a while, but I think foul trouble really hurt us when we lost Zach. That hurt us last night. But very short memory, especially in February with the level of competition coming at us. And you want to play with a free mind and let it rip. I don't think anybody's going to give us much of a chance on Saturday. So let's play like we got nothing to lose.
Is it easier to have a short memory when you're playing with older guys versus having 2 or 3 freshmen?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think our guys that have played together for a while, the group that starts, they played a lot of basketball. They've had some amazing wins. They've also had some amazing disappointments long before this year. So they understand, how you kind of move on from things, address some things that you got to do better, and kind of move on. I mean, it's I've always said a short memory in regular season league play. This February, very short memory.
Mike, you've talked about the resiliency of this team. 11 times have not lost back-to-back times. What has allowed the team to have that kind of resiliency?
Yeah, and I think it gets back to that first question where, I think our veteran guys are able to move on quick, and I think hopefully coming from me, we're not going to dwell on things and hang our heads. We've got to kind of move. You turn the page quickly, and I think, not only with this 11 times, but throughout my career in league play, it's kind of something I thought just something that you're going to have to do. We did it in the Big East. You gotta let's go, man. I mean, here's some things we got to do better. But clean slate and bounce back. Now, this is the ultimate bounce back mode. We've talked about bounce back mode, to bounce back against this team. But what a great, what a great thing to be hosting College Game Day. I hope everybody understands, why we've gotten it. That's respect for our program and how we've done things here. And I think it's extremely powerful to host it. It'll be an unbelievably frenzied atmosphere. Certainly, we gave College Game Day the best game in history last time we were here. Maybe that's why they're back. We give them a good show like Rocky, right?
So, Mike, you turned the page, but what do you harp on from last night?
Yeah, I think defensively, getting beat off the dribble was the thing that I really got after him about at halftime and came back and addressed it in a calmer mode after the game. Sitting down in the stance and penetration really hurt us. Those are things that we must be better at, whether we're playing man or zone, which we need to play both. Not only Saturday, but the rest of the way.
Is it a personnel issue, or was it just a lack of commitment to being good defensively?
I think a little bit back on our heels. We got some quick fouls, and then you're playing afraid to foul, and that's a tricky dynamic to coach this year with the new rule. Because you put your hands on a guy, and we really can't afford foul trouble. We don't have the number of bodies. Certainly the dudes coming in here Saturday have the number of bodies. They can keep going. Our key guys have to be on the floor, and Zach getting that first one right away was like, God, how do we, we just have to be better and play our defense without fouling. Does that mean we play a little bit more zone? I think that's something we have to consider.
How do you get, I know if you had an answer to this, you would have done it already, but getting Zach to start quicker. He scored 10 of his 12 in the last 7.5 minutes of the game, but it's too late by then.
Yeah, I think for him, again, the foul trouble was, and the second one I'm still struggling with, by the way, when you have two hands. But anyways, I think for him, I mean, he's gotten off to good starts and he hasn't, and I don't know if we're ever going to get 5 games in a row getting off to good starts. But given where we are in the league and our resume and RPI, I don't need 5 in a row. I need a couple more to get us there. But certainly with the lineup we start right now with Berg as the second big, it does open the floor for him to roll down the middle, which is where he's best. And, like any guy, not just Zach, when you get a couple buckets early, you start to feel better and you're better on that other end of the floor.
What's been your thought process now that Berg's, 2 starts into
Yeah.
it? He did some good things.
He did. He did. He got. We kind of rode. Bonds got in there, and he didn't play as many minutes as he did. I like what he's given us. I don't see us changing anything for Saturday. I like that nucleus starting a game. I do like Bonzi coming off in the first half. In the second half, that's to be determined. As we saw last night, we did start him in the second half, and we've done that a lot. So I don't see us changing that. I like the maturity of that group, and I think it's very important for this stretch of Saturday, Monday.
Ryan there was a double technical with Ryan at Syracuse.
Yeah.
And he had that situation last night, and you've talked about going on the road with an edge to you.
Yeah.
But how do you draw that line between an edge and overreacting to situations?
Yeah, I like it. I don't want to back us off a little bit. We were battling, and the game at that point looked like it was going to be really hard for us to win, yet we're fighting and competing. And the one thing about Zach and Bonds, they play emotionally and they play really hard, and I don't want to back them off. I think it was just from talking to the official, it sounded like it was kind of mutual, 2 guys grabbing the ball and competing. And so I'm not gonna overcoach that too much. I think that edge and going after people, we're gonna have to have that, and we've had that most of the time, especially from those 2 guys. Those 2 guys are really competitive dudes. They are. And they play a little. They can play very emotionally. Sometimes it does get them into trouble when they play a little too emotionally. I think for the most part they've gotten better. I think Zach has grown huge in keeping it a little more here than the up and down that he had as a freshman and sophomore.
Obviously not one of Demetrius's better games.
Yeah.
Does the hamstring bother him a little bit?
I don't think so, but I still think he's getting back in a rhythm. I really do. I still think he's playing his way back into a rhythm. Tough night offensively. I thought he had a couple things around the bucket. Maybe he was too unselfish. He got there and kicked after he scored a couple, then he started kicking a little bit too much. But I do think there's a play your way back into full confidence. I like the fact that we could play him, 34 minutes. I think he played 34 last night, and had to do, and he played through some fatigue, which I want him to get him back to playing those 34, 35 minutes without getting fatigued. So I think the next 2 days are important to keep that condition up, get his confidence. But I think still probably searching a little bit for an offensive rhythm again.
Where was Lawrence on your scouting report?
Yeah, he was on there, but we talked about him as a streaky shooter. But you take your hat off to him. He played great, and he made them and was really good. And, we got Bergetted a little bit, right? That's a little bit what Berg did on Sunday. Like, guys, is he in the report? All of a sudden, and that you see that happen. And, again, that was the guy we wanted to shoot. And, and if he makes them, he makes them. And you say, hey, man, congratulations.
Playing the number 2 team, that would be number 1 in coaches, can be intimidating. But the fact that you guys had so much success last year against them, does that help maybe neutralize that?
I think so, Tom. I think our guys will be, excited to play, and I don't think there's really, any intimidation factor in this program anymore. I really don't. It's guys are excited to compete against them. Going into last year, I think our overall record was 4-22 against that program. And to have won 2 in a row in the state of North Carolina really is a little bit mind-blowing. If you make it 3 in a row, I don't know, maybe the earth will rotate the wrong way on its axis, if we do that. But again, because, this nucleus has had success against some real blue bloods, the blue bloods of this league, I think, there's not intimidation. I think there's excitement and energy. Just don't want us playing too fast because the atmosphere will be more frenzied in the building than ever before. And against them, we really have to control tempo. We can't get in a racetrack game with them because they want to go, and we're going to have to grind some in our half-court possessions.
There might not be an intimidation factor for you guys, but generally speaking, you guys seem to like the underdog tag. And do you think maybe you might use a respect factor to kind of feel these guys or motivate them a little bit?
Well, I mean, I think our guys, I don't know if I have to get into kind of real psychological warfare with our guys. We lost a tough game. We got a chance to bounce back. We got a chance for a great win that would really help our resume. And our guys have been really good on big stages for the most part. This nucleus has. So, I don't think we'll over analyze the motivational aspect of it. Our guys will be very fired up. The build up to college game day all day is awesome. I mean, it's great what they do, and I hope our fans really embrace it because it just doesn't happen. I'm thrilled that we've had 3 here in my tenure, that we've hosted 3 of them. It says something about the program.
And if you look back this year, Pfluger against Duke, last year Bonzi in a few games, and I think a few years ago Connaughton against Syracuse. Some of your young guys have really stepped up and kind of been fearless. Is that something you have to instill in them, or is that something the guys typically come in with?
I think it comes naturally, and that happens a lot of time. For example, last night was a great example with Lawrence. All of a sudden, you got the main guys. You're talking about the main guys, and everybody's talking about the older guys and the veteran guys and the key guys. And all of a sudden, a young guy does something off the charts, or a guy that's 6th in the scouting report does something off the charts to help you win a game. It happens over and over again. So for a guy like Pfluger or Ryan, hey, man, who knows? Bonzi obviously has delivered. Bonzi loves these kind of nights, man. He's been pretty darn good in these kind of nights.
Talked about controlling tempo. What are some of the other priorities Saturday night?
Well, rebounding the ball. They're so big, and they're and keeping them off the offensive board. They kind of pound away with 4 to 5 big bodies at you all the time. I think that's a key. We're going to have to sit down in a stance because you got some guys that can go off the dribble. Maybe not as much as Miami's guys, but they do. But I think it's the wear and tear. You're playing a team that pounds you, in the paint, wants to keep pounding you with post feeds and pounding the offensive board. We're going to have to help our big guys when they feed the post. Our blockouts are going to be such a key. We're going to have to be really consistent, and our guards are going to have to come down and help us rebound. And then again, a key transition defense.
What are some of your responsibilities that day with the game day crew?
I got to find out from Alan, but I believe I think 11 to 12 is when they do is it 10 to 12? 11 to 12. I think I'm probably live there from 11 to 12. They've had players involved before, but I don't know, and I haven't watched any of them this year. I'm not sure if they're doing that, and we're in full barrel, man. Have fun with it. I'm sure our guys will be hanging around from 11 to 12. We need our student body in there now, because when we can't have 150 students back there. We need them coming out in the morning too. But my thing is, when we got this, it was, I've always referred to as the circus is coming to town. I don't know if I actually, I would be distracted. The Connecticut game, right? That was 45 wins in a row. They came in and snapped it. Louisville game speaks for itself. I have a new theme. I'm embracing the circus. I am going to embrace the circus. I'm going to have fun with the circus, and hopefully we can go have fun at 7:00.
You're probably gonna need more than donuts. You're gonna need omelets or
omelets, donuts. I shouldn't have to bribe them this day. I'll come back and bribe them some other day. Thanks, guys. We're good.